Today is Friday, October the 5th, 2012, and I'm going to work on my old Mac MC275. I've had this amp since 1976, bought it used back then for $360. Play it a lot, hours every day, but this morning when I turned it on, it made a bad noise, and I hope the camera will focus on this. And that's what it did to the fuse. Let's see if it'll focus there. Not exactly. On the camera's on. You might be able to see it in there. It's a pretty catastrophically blown fuse. So it didn't melt in too kindly, and it made a bad noise. So I'm going to see what's wrong with it. No use in putting another fuse in there and blowing another fuse and possibly damaging something further. I'll have to take it apart now. Aha! There it is. I saw it and caught it on camera. And it blew the fuse. There you go. Voila. Oh well, too bad, how sad. That's my expensive tubes, but might as well go ahead and fix it. That's it. Okay, now that you've seen that tube flare up, the one furthest left flare up and turn blue and blow the fuse again, I want to show you something. It's plugged into a reliable TV7 D YouTube tester. I use it all the time. And look over here at how it tests. If I can make this thing work the way I want to. Alright, 44 is good. There, measures 60. It seems a little unstable. That's actually abnormally high. 50 is more a realistic number. It's reading 65. Wow. One might think, hey, this is great. I got the best tube in town. But that's not the case. This tube is bad. It's a beauty, and I hate to throw it away. But what we're going to do is bust it and see if we can see what's inside it. See if we can see why it went bad. Okay, now that we know the tube is bad, it blows fuses, and the tube checker checks it abnormally good, let's smash it and cut it open. It's been decades since I've done something like this, so let's just see. Wow. There we go. I hope I can keep all of this in focus and on the camera. I am just really interested in seeing if we can find out. I do not want to cut myself. Let's see. Well, I've done pretty good there. Let's throw this away for right now. Okay. Sorry it's out of the picture, but now I'm just going to hack this thing to pieces. And pull it out as intact as I can. There's the filament. I'm going to guess that the screen shorted against something. That's my guess. There we go. There's our tube. Ouch, it's still hot too. There's its mica. There's its getter right there. And if you noticed in the other tube, before I busted it, had a beautiful shiny getters still in there. Okay, now let's see if we can pull it apart. See if we can find out. trying to watch what I'm doing and watch the camera at the same time. It's a bit of a challenge. I need a cameraman here. I'm interested to see if we can actually physically see where maybe the screen grid or the control grid or something is shorted, and what this thing looks like inside. Good grief. This thing is difficult to get apart. Let's see. Let's start snipping it at some other points here. So maybe it'll come apart a little easier. When I was a kid, I did this all the time. But alas, I'm not a kid anymore. Well, maybe at heart. Just trying to be so darn careful I don't cut my hands on it. I really don't want to do that. Ah, look there. It's about to come apart, but not almost, but not quite nearly. We'll get it out here in a second. There we go. Oh, there's the plate. Alright, let's examine it closely. I don't see anything wrong with it. That's a pretty thick plate. I'll tell you what, that's a nice piece of metal. So there's that part. Okay, internally. Ah, look at there. Look at that. It looks like something shorted against the cathode. The cathode's right there in the middle. Something looks very unhealthy about that. I think. Yeah, there's actually a burn spot right there. Oops, right there. There is a burn spot right there. Let's see if I can get this as close as I can. You can see it there. It's not as perfectly in focus as I'd like, but that's probably when I was tapping it where the, let's see. Well, this is the suppressor grid out here, or the beam forming grid. That's just outside the metal plate. Let's go a little deeper into it here. Hopefully without mutilating it too bad. Snipping it apart here so it'll come apart easily, hopefully. Look there, I think we're about to get there. There is the cathode. Maybe if I bend this one up a little bit. Trying to mutilate it as little as possible. There it is. Okay, so that's the third grid. That's the beam forming grid, also known as a suppressor. If it were just a regular grid, but this is a beam forming grid, and it's internally tied to the cathode. Okay, and here we go. So this grid right here is the screen, and there's the cathode right there. So that came out, and there's the burn spot right there. Yeah, right there. And something else right there. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe that's just trash or something. No, it looks like something happened there too. So one of the grids, I guess it's the control grid, was shorting to the cathode. There's our filament right there. Whoops, it's falling apart. Okay, and lastly, let's cut our grids apart. And here's the control grid right there. The control grid, that's the first one. This is the second one. This is the screen grid, the suppressor grid, and the plate. And of course the filament goes up inside this. It's an indirectly heated cathode. I don't see anything wrong with the grid. I don't see anything burned. I do see something burned on the cathode, so something was touching it. The screen grid, I don't see anything smoked there either. I have no idea. But since the closest element to the cathode here is the grid, I guess it was something, a piece of trash, I don't know, a little piece of metal, something was down in there. Well, anyway, there it is. Let's see, where'd the filament go? Here's the filament, here's pieces of it. Here's the part that actually glows. It slides up inside here like that, gets screaming red hot, turns this hot, and like I say, this is, if it were just a filament, it'd be a directly heated cathode. The really high power tubes use directly heated cathodes with a thorium impregnated tungsten. These have some sort of oxide on them. I don't know what it's called, but it's not radioactive and poisonous like the thorium. So you don't really want to be doing this with a high power transmitting tube with a thorium tungsten filament. I'm going to wash my hands good after this even. Anyway, heats up the filament. Around the filament goes the control grid. I'm not going to try to, or the cathode here, goes the control grid, and then on the outside of that is the screen grid. On the outside of that is the beam forming plate, like I say, which is internally, actually internally, this is connected to this. This beam forming plate is connected to the cathode internally. So that's it. And of course the plate, like I say, that's a pretty massive little hunk of metal. I'm quite impressed. I like those tubes. Those tubes are better than $50 a piece, so I wouldn't have done this had I known it was bad. It's kind of interesting that it showed up abnormally good on the tube tester. As a matter of fact, I think I'll plug another one in and we'll see if see how it looks. Okay, just for the fun and the documentation of it, this is one of the other 3 tubes that are still good, and it measures 60 also, but it isn't moving around. It's very stable. So I can zoom in on that just a little bit. Get it over there. Get it in focus again. Darn, I hate it when it's out of focus like that. There's indeed much I can do about it sometimes. Anyway, I think you can see it there pretty good. It's measuring 60 solid. It's pretty high, but it's been a long time since I've measured these. Regular 6550s and KT88s on this machine usually measure around 50 or so. There you go.